Friends and enemies, welcome back, White Widow Sports. We are going to hit it hard, hit it fast, just like the aggressive banging at NASCAR. If you know, you know. Shorter recording for you guys today, but we wanted to keep the tradition alive. It's Saturday morning. We're talking about sports again, just like we have gotten in the habit of doing. Guys, how's your week going? What'd you think about the world of sports as it's unfolded?
It's
Good.
been pretty good on my side. Sorry, Chris. Uh, been a little busy. We had a special guest. That video is coming out here shortly. So look forward to that. It turned out to be a really good video. Um, so still in the edit process, but overall, just a good week. It was fun watching all the football stuff transpire over the week.
Mhm.
Looking forward to that video as well. Chris, what you got?
Yeah, in the world of sports, just got some short stories here and there that come across my phone, across my TV and stuff. I've been making an effort to watch some of the conference finals games of NCAA tournament, at least clips of them, stuff just to kind of know what's going on a little bit. I don't know when the last time that I saw a part of American University basketball game, but keeps me up to speed a little bit, and so I've just been trying to do that.
Yeah, and I apologize in advance if you are expecting us to talk about certain topics today, just stuff that's been going on, and we don't. It's not because we're omitting those topics without reason. It's probably because we've got another video planned where we don't want to double down on certain things. We don't want to talk about something in the podcast and then release a separate video for it, literally, a day or two later. So if you're expecting us to talk about Selection Sunday and the brackets and stuff like that, stay
Wait.
tuned. Obviously, free agency is a big thing. Since the
Mhm,
last time we've recorded, we've learned where players are going. Our free agency video was a pretty big hit. Our predictions have done pretty well, just in the
mm,
discussion and stuff like that. We got some mixed records. If you
yeah,
haven't seen that one, go check it out. We've also got shorts kind of giving some results on that. But
mhm,
um, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So, Aaron Rodgers is one kind of free agency story I do want to talk about because it was one that's kind of folded out in a weird way. So we had talked about the Raiders landing spot and various other things when we talked about free agency, but the Rodgers situation's playing out in a weird way. So the Jets didn't want him; they replaced him. He is now officially a free agent. He's out on the market, and it's weird to see where this is going and how it's going to play out because the two teams that everybody's looking at are the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think most people seem to think that he was going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but a contract hasn't come yet. The Giants are waiting to see what Rodgers does there. And yet, Rodgers seems to be eyeing a third team that we probably didn't expect, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. Apparently, that's the position that he wants. Chris, what have you kind of seen in the way that this is folding out, and what do you think about it?
I mean, I guess I've seen what you've seen in that regards, but what I think about it is that, I wonder how much he has left to give, and I'm actually leaning towards he might have a decent amount left to give. I don't know that he's gonna be the MVP or anything, but even at his age, I think he can come in and get it done at an average level, maybe even above average level. As far as the teams you mentioned, obviously he needs to end up with one of those top 2, but the Vikings are very intriguing because we have seen guys that you might consider kinda average, like Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, go to the Vikings, and something about that culture and the weapons they have around them makes you look really good, and so I can't blame him for pushing for that. I think the Vikings are a place that can make you look better than you are. And so if he does choose to go down that stray path, I don't think it'd be that crazy.
Brian, I don't think you're somebody that shies away from sharing thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, so we'll give the floor to you for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely going to be a TikTok video. Aaron, my brother, retire. You're old. I get it. I'm old too. I'm not playing football anymore. Leave it to the kids. It's a kid's game. You're not a kid. Go play golf like the rest of us. It's just my opinions. I don't foresee him doing well at any of those teams. maybe at the Steelers, with them bringing over DJ Metcalf from the Seahawks, he's got weapons there, but I don't know that he can get it done. He was a great quarterback. I don't want to take anything from him. He will more than likely go into the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. But at this point in your career, even the great Brady had to give it up at some point. You know, I just like I said, that's my opinion on it. I think he should give it up and retire like everybody has to.
So,
Well,
Brad, I guess I think he has a little left to give. Brian does not think he has a little left to give. Where do you stand?
quick fact check. It's actually DK Metcalf, not DJ. If you need to know, little known fact, it actually stands for Donkey Kong Metcalf. Don't look that up. Just take my word for it. It's Donkey Kong Metcalf. Uh, but I think Aaron Rodgers, I think there's a reason that there are at least two, but probably three teams that are trying to figure out what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers this offseason. If those NFL teams didn't think that he represented their best option to win, he wouldn't be holding up free agency to the extent that he is. I think for a team like Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and the kind of offense that he runs, with the same offensive weapons that made Kirk Cousins look good, that made Sam Darnold look good, and who will make JJ McCarthy look good, I think that Rodgers could definitely succeed there. And Pittsburgh's the same way. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Arthur Smith and his offense, but if you've got a DK Metcalf, if you've got a George Pickens, a Pat Fryermuth, these are weapons that any quarterback could throw to, and Rodgers, now year two removed from his Achilles tear, I think he could look a lot better than what he looked like at the Jets. Now he's not going to have Devontae Adams. He's not going to have, the same supporting cast, with Brees Hall and stuff like that that he had with the Jets. But I do think he could look good in 2025 if he just wanted one more run. That being said, if he did announce his retirement, I wouldn't be heartbroken. Uh,
And I kinda disagree a little bit with that at this point with Minnesota having the, McCarthy sitting there,
Mhm.
you know, why would you not put that in? And then you get into the same situation Atlanta's in, you've got a $40 million quarterback riding the pine, and no team can really sustain that. You know, I know Atlanta has worked something out with Cousins, and they're like, "Hey, we're just gonna sit on it and just kinda eat that money. It's already allocated." But, does Minnesota make that same mistake? Because Aaron Rodgers, where yes, I do think he is over the hill as far as football is concerned, you know, he still is going to command a very large paycheck, even if it's a 1 year deal. Um, I just, I would say I'd rather see McCarthy go in there, you know, prove what a stud he is, just like the rest of the young quarterbacks have done that's gone in. Daniels comes to mind out of the Redskins. Granted they're two different kind of quarterbacks, but
Mhm.
still put your young stud in. Don't waste your money on Rodgers. I don't see a good fit. Now with the Steelers, maybe because you don't have McCarthy sitting there. You do need a quarterback, to play in this league.
Well, that's
So
what I wanted to, that was kind of my counterpoint, is you look at the available options, and that's why it makes sense for the Steelers. So if you're Minnesota, obviously you do have JJ McCarthy in place. If you're the Giants, you have a top 3 pick in the draft where you could try to secure a Cam Ward or a Shador Sanders to be your long-term. But I mean, I believe the Steelers don't draft until 21st. What are they going to do? Are they going to take a Jackson Dart there and try to roll him out? Are they going to play Mason Rudolph for another year? I don't see that being the case. Their division's just too competitive to roll out a subpar quarterback like that. They're really going to have to make the determination between what's better. Is it bringing back Russell Wilson for another year? They had that last year. At times, Justin Fields looked better, and Justin Fields is now a New York Jet. He's no longer an option for them. It's Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, and it seems like they've picked Aaron Rodgers. It's kind of the one we don't know is better than the enemy we do know, because we went with Russell Wilson last year. It didn't get us the desired results. That's why we're drafting 21st and not 32nd. So what does Aaron Rodgers give us that Russell Wilson didn't?
or you could put this on the table, Atlanta hasn't said, "No, they're not getting rid of," uh,
Kirk
sorry, his
Cousins.
name. Yeah, Cousins. Does the Steeler come in and make a deal? Is Cousins, he is younger. Would that be a better option than paying? I mean, you're going to pay either one of them a lot of money. Does that make more sense? Because you may have Cousins for 2 or 3 years, that you could go find that quarterback versus an Aaron Rodgers where I hope I have 1 year. Uh,
Yeah.
does that play into it or does it not? I don't know. I'm not in these NFL rooms, so I don't have any inside knowledge. I can just speculate like everybody else.
Yeah, I can't think of anything rather see less than Kirk Cousins and an Arthur Smith offense. Just make me throw up in my own mouth. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. What's next, Chris?
Oh, the Cleveland Cavaliers have won 16 in a row, and you don't need me to tell you that. You can get that from any source. But what I wanted to say about it was that I'm starting to wonder, just looking up and down their roster. It's solid and everything, but is it a championship roster or is it just a roster that wins a lot of regular season games? I saw my own Atlanta Hawks around 2015 lead the entire East for the entire year. The the whole starting lineup, I think, made the All-Star game in some capacity or not. The head coach was the All-Star head coach for the East at the time. He put them all in at one point. I was like, that's real impressive. But even as a fan, I'm sitting here thinking, well, being number one and all that's great and everything, but I'm not sure what we can do in a playoff environment. And I just want to know maybe if the Cavs fans think that about themselves, or even if they don't, should they be thinking that about themselves? Because you don't have the star power of Milwaukee with Giannis. You don't have Ant Man over in Minnesota, and I guess that's the West. But you know, it just doesn't seem like they have the big names and the big time guys, even with the team chemistry they have. I feel like this could all just be for show in the regular season. And I hope I'm wrong because I got nothing against Cleveland.
About that is maybe that Cleveland understands maybe some of their handicaps, and they realize that if they are going to make the postseason run that they want, they are going to have to position themselves as a very high seed. So maybe they are just outplaying teams in the regular season in an attempt to try to parlay that into some postseason success that they wouldn't have if they were trying to claw their way up as a 5 or 6 seed. If they can get 1 seed or 2 seed, worst case scenario, it's going to put them in a much better position come playoff time because maybe they do understand that they're not as well armed to deal with some of these others. But can't take anything away from it. We're still a bit away from the playoffs. Nothing is really locked up as far as seeding or even who's going to make the playoffs, play in that sort of thing. But this is currently tied for the fifth longest streak in NBA history. Anytime you can make a list like that, it's obviously impressive, and they're
Mhm.
still going. The streak is not ended as of the time of this recording.
Right.
Uh, Longest streak is the Lakers. I think that was done in the early 70s. I don't expect them getting that far. But the most recent example of something like this going on was actually Golden State. So they have the second longest, and it was technically it was a 4 and 24 split between 2 seasons. So they won their last 4 games of the 2014-2015 season, and then they won 24 straight to open the 2015-2016 season, which was their 73-9 year.
Yeah, yeah.
28 straight or even 24 straight if you want to go just off of one season. They're really not that far away from numbers like that. I mean, they're hot. They're playing great basketball, a lot of team chemistry. I'm
Mhm.
interested to kind of keep following this, and we'll make note of it when it does eventually end. But pretty cool to see in the world of basketball.
Mhm.
Definitely one of the more exciting things that we could talk about, unless you just want to keep dropping Luka Doncic stats because he continues to make that trade look worse and worse. I think I saw where he had 29 points in the first half. The Lakers' last game ended up in the 40s for the entire game, I do believe. Just a crazy stat line. He's putting up stats that only LeBron James and Kobe Bryant have done for the Lakers, and they got him for essentially nothing. So pretty cool to see that. But I know you guys don't want to hear about Luca every video, so we'll move on from that.
Well, also, we did want to show some love, and we meant to last time around. Joker there, Jokic in Denver is doing things that are just ridiculous. I think he put up a stat line recently that's never even been done in the NBA. I believe it was. Don't quote me on this, but like 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 20 assists in one game, something around that.
Yeah.
And he just continues to climb up the MVP race. He's won it before, obviously, and I just on the run he's on right now. I think he'll probably win it again. So
I don't know. I've never seen an MVP get a three dropped on him by LeBron James's son. I think I tagged you in that clip earlier today. And so it's like, take him out of the running just for that alone.
yeah,
No offense, Bronny James Jr.
what else we got?
I think Brian wanted to bring up something not too common in NASCAR.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I know our fans love NASCAR. They love to correct me on NASCAR, and I much appreciate it on that. But hopefully, I do not get this fact wrong. Uh, Christopher Bell won last Sunday at Phoenix Raceway, and great achievement. It's hard to win races. I understand that. But the big news is that this was his third straight win this year, which is not as common as you think it would be. Um, I believe the last time it was done was 2021. Um, so congrats to Bell and winning that. And really, I know they're racing again tomorrow, I believe. I'm not sure exactly where, but I think he would be, if he does win tomorrow, he will be the first one to ever do it 4 times in a row. So
Hmm.
that's, something to kind of keep an eye out. And I did watch that Shrine Phoenix Raceway race, and it was a good race. I mean, it was, a good clash of not only fuel mileage, but there was some aggressive banging going on out there. Some engines blown, some brakes. I think I saw one of the cars blew his brakes out, and it just kind of, it was just for a fan, it was a good race. So glad to see they're kind of putting the redneck back into it a little bit and creating those races. So yeah, that's kind
We
of
know
all I've
Brian
got.
hates it when you take the redneck out of stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently he hates that the NFL took the Redskins out of it because he still doesn't say Commanders when talking about Jaden Daniels. But yeah, I think since 1971 or 72 when they first started tracking this championship series, there's only been 29 instances where one driver has won 3 races in a row. So that kind of gives you an idea that in 50 years something's only happened, less than 30 times. And it's so much so when you see something like this, the race as it unfolds at the end, a lot of it is being in the right place at the right time. You have to have certain things just go your way to win in NASCAR. And so to be in that position 3 times in a row is just, it's a testament to him putting himself and his team putting him in that position to consistently win and be in the mix at the end. And another, I guess, thing to watch off of those 29 instances where somebody has had a 3-win streak, 12 of those drivers have gone on to win the championship that year. So Christopher Bell could be a favorite here soon to win the championship this year, just off of that statistic alone.
And it's a long season. They race from February to November, so it's, we still got a minute before they get into that. But again, congrats to him. And did you say Kyle Larson was the last one to do it? I don't know. I don't think
I
I
did
did.
not, but yeah, he did it in 2021.
Yep, yep. So wanted to put that out there and show Mr. Larson some love as well.
So I did have one other thing just to go back to the world of football. I know we talked about free agency, but my personal favorite event of the year is the draft. And there's something interesting going on with the draft that I don't think I've ever seen in my 15 plus years of covering or paying into the draft. Uh,
Mhm.
but there's some controversy around pick 114. And like I said, I've never seen this happen. I don't know if either of you have, but there are two teams currently trying to claim ownership of that pick. So the pick was traded from Dallas to Carolina in the deal for Jonathan Mingo, the wide receiver that was a Panther. Dallas traded pick one, what is now pick 114 to Carolina for that receiver.
Mhm.
But for some reason, and nobody knows why, Chicago is trying to claim that pick. And so I don't know if by the time this podcast goes out, if maybe Adam Schefter or one of the bigger names around it will comment on this, if it'll get worked out. But depending on what website you go to, you'll see multiple teams claiming ownership of this pick. Obviously, Chicago says that they've got it on their website. Carolina says that they have it on their website. Some of like the draft tech websites, NFL.com, any of these that they are keeping up with trades and who the draft order and everything like that. Depending on which one you go to, you might see two different teams owning that pick. So have y'all seen anything like that?
No.
I have
Just
not, but that is certainly crazy. I'm not sure why that's even a thing and why that's not already worked out.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that's a kind of an easy one to say, okay, they own it. This is why. Sorry about your luck.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think the big question is where did Chicago come into this? It seems like everybody's heard that phrase. This is an A and B conversation, so see your way out. The C stands for Chicago. Chicago needs to see their way out of this because if Dallas had the pick, it's their pick, and they traded it for a player. The team that they traded it to now owns that pick. Where does Chicago come into this? I have no idea. I'm looking forward to the resolution. I just thought it was worth bringing up.
I think the C stands for Cam Scatterboo because we're obligated to mention him in every show, and I'd hate to forget about him uh,
Which
for
which
no reason.
you should be pretty happy. Last, mock draft or last couple mock drafts I've seen have
Mhm.
had Dallas taken Cam Scatterboo in the 2nd round, I believe is what I saw.
All I'm
I don't know
saying is
about that.
if that happens, we talked a little bit before we started recording about our upcoming rookie draft in our dynasty league. If Cam Scadaboo finds his way to Dallas in the draft, Shador Sanders will not be the pick of Chris's in the first round. Cam Scadaboo will become a member of his team. I would bet my life savings on it. You can have those $17.
Man.
Uh, I mean, Dallas does need running back help. Everybody knows it. We've talked about it in previous videos. So it's not when I saw that come across, it was not shocking to see them take him. He did impress a lot of people during the combine. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him in Dallas.
Would surprise me a bit because from what I'm hearing and everything, they still fully intend on using the first round pick on a running back. So I don't know why they would use a second as well. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
just
We've got a
rumors.
lot of draft talk coming up. I think
Yep.
Dallas still has some offensive line help that they need to secure for whoever is toting the rock in Dallas
Hmm.
this year. I know they signed Javante Williams, and maybe that was to say, hey, we think that there's going to be a good running back in the second or third that we can take. Javante Williams can be the veteran leader, if not the main star of the running back room, and it just allows them to not reach on a running back. The popular name has been Ashton Genty to Dallas all draft cycle,
Hmm.
and maybe they are learning that because of the Geno Smith trade, maybe they're thinking that the Raiders take Ashton Genty, or if not, maybe Chicago ends up taking Ashton Genty at pick 10. If they're thinking that Genty doesn't make it to them, that might be the only running back that they have a first round grade on. And now
Yeah.
they look to the second or third round to
Yeah.
add a
Yeah.
running back. Either way, I think it's going to be a good landing spot. And I almost would say that if you add a running back in the second round and pair him with a first round offensive lineman, is that not going to be a more impactful combo in Dallas than to have a first round running back with a lesser line blocking for him?
See. We'll see.
And I guarantee you, if Cam goes to Dallas, there will be a Cam Scatterboo jersey on this podcast.
Yeah. Probably.
100%. There
And
might
for
even
those
be two. He might have one on the wall and then one to wear. Who knows?
Mhm.
that don't know, Chris is a huge Cowboys fan for some reason.
This is when he points at the wrong.
Oh, it is.
I, nailed it.
Somewhere back there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that was all we really had. Like I said, a short podcast this week. But as always, I enjoy hopping on and talking about it. We've got a few of the shorter form videos. You guys seem to have enjoyed those lately. They've performed well on the channel. Podcast isn't going anywhere, but we also don't want to steal the thunder from those videos. We've got different conversations. Be on the lookout for Jasmine's appearance. You don't know who that is yet, but you will get a pretty good introduction soon. That was a
Yep.
really great conversation. I think you guys will enjoy it. Learning about a sport that maybe you don't know much about. I certainly enjoyed it, and I went into it admitting to Chris, I was like, man, I know nothing to talk about with her. And the conversation was fantastic. It flowed freely. And I think that's really going to show out in the video as well. So be
Yep.
on the lookout for that. Continue showing love. We've jumped in subscribers lately. We can't thank you guys enough. If this is your first podcast that you've listened to as a subscriber, we do want to thank you. Tell your friends about us. We're excited to see the growth and hoping it continues on. Still looking for 50 before Super Bowl. I've been speaking with Chris's representation, trying to make the chess boxing thing happen. Negotiations are not going very well, but I'll keep working on it for you guys. I know it's something that y'all want to see.